Imagine this. You're walking through a garden. I mean, a truly breathtakingly beautiful garden. Total perfection.
Yeah.
And the poet Rilke, he was in a place just like that with Sigmund Freud. But instead of feeling joy, he was moved to tears.
Not because of the beauty, though.
No, exactly. Not because anything was wrong with it, but because he just realized that all of it, all that magnificence was temporary. He couldn't shake this fact that everything around him was just doomed to dissolve.
And that moment right there, which Freud wrote about in his essay on transience, it just perfectly captures that deep sadness we all feel.
The existential bummer.
Yeah, the existential bummer. And that's what we're diving into today. We're looking at this idea of impermanence, transience in philosophy, and, well, in science. It's relentlessly called entropy.
So our mission here is to take you through a whole stack of material. We're talking Stoicism, Buddhism, even thermodynamics and vampire stories to figure out something really crucial. Why ending isn't just this, unavoidable tragedy, but why it's actually necessary for things to have meaning, for value, for urgency.
Right, because what Rilke felt in that garden, it wasn't just, oh, this will be gone someday. It was more than that. It was the melancholy that's like tangled up with ecstasy.
It's that nostalgia you feel for something while it's still happening.
Yes, you haven't even lost it yet, but you're already mourning it because you can see it slipping away.
And that's the conflict, isn't it? That deep, unsettling knowledge that everything we love, a relationship, a boom in the market, our own youth, it's all transient. So what do you do?
That's the move.
Do you just cling on for dear life, rage against the dying of the light, or do you try to find a way to let go, that whole non-attachment idea?
That choice really defines how we live. But before we can even get to the philosophy of it all, I think we have to get our hands dirty with the physics.
Okay.
We have to understand that this fragility we feel, it isn't some cosmic mistake. It's actually how the universe is built.
So we started with the heart, the emotion. Let's shift gears now to the hard science, the lab. Is permanence even physically possible?
The short answer, no. Just a flat no. Physics is very clear on this. Permanence is not the natural state of things. Impermanence is.
And it all comes down to probability.
It all boils down to probability and the second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah. Okay, so lay out that asymmetry for us. Why is it always so much easier for things to change than to stay the same?
Well, think about it visually. Think about a sandcastle on the beach.
Okay.
There is exactly one specific, highly organized way for that sandcastle to stay perfect.
Yeah.
Just one. But there are, trillions of ways for it to fall apart.
The wind, a wave, someone tripping over it.
Exactly. Countless ways for it to degrade, to flatten, to just dissolve back into the beach. So impermanence is just statistically inevitable. Randomness always gives you more options than order does.
So to keep that sandcastle or anything really in that one perfect state, it takes constant, perfect effort.
While its destruction just needs one tiny thing to go wrong. And the forces working against permanence are just, they're relentless. To have true, perfect permanence, a system would have to be completely, utterly isolated.
Which is impossible.
Totally impossible. Everything interacts. Gravity stretches on forever. Quantum fluctuations are constantly jiggling things at a tiny level. You can't truly isolate anything.
And on top of that, there's energy. Energy wants to spread out, right? It seeks equilibrium.
It hates difference. That's the core of it. Your hot coffee has to cool down. It has to. It gives its energy to the cooler room until they're the same temperature. And that drive, that constant slow erosion, is happening on a massive scale.
But hold on, you bring up erosion. The Appalachian Mountains, they've been eroding for what, like 480 million years? For a human lifespan, doesn't that basically count as permanent?
That's a really great point and a fair challenge. But for physics, the timescale doesn't really matter. It's the direction that's the point.
The direction of travel.
Exactly. The mountains, the sun, your coffee, they are all demonstrably moving toward a state of lower energy, higher entropy. So from a physics perspective, they are temporary. They're just on a really, really grand timescale.
And living things. We're the ultimate fight against that, aren't we? A temporary one.
Here, temporary pockets of order. That's all a living thing is. Biologically, we only maintain that order by constantly taking in energy.
It's like running up a down escalator.
That's the perfect analogy. The second you stop running, stop eating, stop breathing, stop replacing the 330 billion cells that die in your body every day, the escalator wins. Entropy takes over, and fast.
So this law governs the physical world, but what about the systems we build? Like an economic boom, are they just as fragile?
Absolutely. The sandcastle analogy holds perfectly. A big economic boom is this incredibly delicate, highly improbable configuration. You need consumer demand, capital, investor confidence, stable politics, all perfectly balanced.
And it only takes one of those things to shift.
Just one. A new competitor, a war, a pandemic, and the whole delicate structure starts to crumble. The boom was never the default state.
So the big insight here is that we have it all backward. We shouldn't be asking why things fall apart.
Exactly. Impermanence doesn't need an explanation. It's the default setting of the universe. Permanence is the weird thing. It's the special event that needs a constant, perfect, energy-guzzling intervention to maintain.
Which brings us to this huge paradox. If impermanence is such a bummer, what would life actually be like if we could have permanence? What's the curse of eternity?
Well, first off, it's the death of urgency and
Right.
growth. I mean, think about it. If you were immortal, if you had infinite time, why would you learn Spanish today?
You could always do it tomorrow or next century.
Or in a million years?
Sure.
Why tell someone you love them now? There's no deadline. Infinite time just means infinite procrastination. It makes every single moment kind of worthless. Nothing's at stake.
It's the deadlines, the constraints that light a fire under us. You see that with Darwin rushing to publish or Shakespeare writing like he's running out of time.
Because he was. And if you remove that, you remove the drive. And you also remove evolution. Permanent things can't change. They can't evolve.
In economics, that would be total stagnation.
Total. No creative destruction.
Mm-hmm.
The buggy whip manufacturer would still be around right alongside the car company, just clogging up the system forever. You need loss to have progress.
And what about value itself? Rarity creates value,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Contrast.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Forces use this fantastic analogy. A beautiful flower, if it never wilted, never decayed, after a year, what is
It's
it?
it there.
After a decade, it's wallpaper. Becomes invisible, meaningless.
If Christmas happened every single day, it wouldn't be Christmas anymore.
It would just be Tuesday. Permanence kills value, it kills attention. It's the ultimate psychological devaluation machine.
Which I guess is why in fiction, immortality is almost always shown as a curse. The classic vampire is weary, disconnected, hollow.
An eternal Christmas morning would become a special kind of torture pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Permanence is a frozen, static world where nothing matters because nothing can ever be truly gained or truly lost.
Okay, so we've established it. Permanence is impossible, and it's also undesirable. So let's get to the human response, the sacred ache. How do we live with this?
There are a couple of great philosophical paths. Let's start in the East with Buddhism. You had the teaching of Anicca, which is impermanence,
Right.
and that's tied directly to the idea that suffering, dukkha, doesn't come from the change itself. It comes from clinging to things that are changing.
But what's the real difference between non-attachment and just indifference? People confuse those a lot.
Yeah, they do. And it's a huge difference. Indifference is choosing not to care. Non-attachment is caring deeply, loving deeply, but without trying to grab on and control it, without demanding that it lasts forever.
It's like holding sand in your hand.
That's it. If you squeeze your fist tight, it all slips out. But if you hold it loosely, you can appreciate it as it passes through your fingers. You experience it without demanding to own it.
And in the West, you have the Stoics. Amor fati, love your fate.
Love of fate. Finding beauty in accepting things just as they are, including their end, which leads you to that Japanese concept, mono no aware.
The beauty of fleeting things.
The pathos of things. We cherish the cherry blossoms so intensely because they're only here for a short time. That fleetingness makes them more beautiful, not less. The flower is achingly beautiful because you know it's dying as you look at it.
So art then becomes our great act of defiance against all this. Against entropy, we try to freeze that perfect moment.
Artists like Fabian Perez, his paintings literally freeze these moments of passion, of longing. It's a beautiful and necessary illusion of timelessness.
It reminds me of those lines from the poem in the film Dangerous Beauty, the character's looking back at her youth.
We thought ourselves eternal then.
Our glory sealed by God's own pen. It just captures that youthful delusion, that feeling that your moment, your glory, is somehow the exception to the rule.
But then comes the heartbreaking realization. But paradise, we found, is always frail. Against man's fear will always fail. That frailness is the impermanence they couldn't accept. And that's what gives the memory its power.
And if we go back to the vampire thing, that fated mate trope is the ultimate fantasy of permanence, isn't it? It's this one bond, so absolute, it redeems an eternity of hollow existence.
It's the human dream of forever projected onto an immortal canvas. But the real wisdom, I think, the alive embrace, is found when we just stop fighting the current.
And let impermanence do its job.
Exactly. It forces you to engage. Knowing the person you love is mortal makes every conversation matter more. It makes you, kiss with your eyes open.
You build the sandcastle knowing the tide is coming in. You love the flower as it's wilting. The suffering isn't from the impermanence itself.
No, the suffering is the extra layer of pain we add when we demand that reality be something other than what it is.
That's the perfect synthesis. Impermanence isn't the tragic flaw in existence. It is the necessary condition for existence to mean anything at all. Courage, love, achievement, it all comes from the fact that our time is short.
It really does.
So to wrap up, here's a final thought for you to take away. We use art, poems, and now technology, our phones, the cloud, as this kind of sacred ritual to fight forgetting.
We're trying to build perfect digital immortality for our memories, outsourcing memory to a machine.
But what if we succeed? If technology actually grants us perfect digital memory, if you never had to worry about forgetting a face, a voice, a feeling, would that ultimately destroy that beautiful, poignant ache of nostalgia?
If every peak experience could just be perfectly replayed on demand, like a movie.
What would we fight for? What would we strive to remember if we knew we never, ever had to worry about that moment slipping away?
If the moment is perfectly preserved, does it lose its power? Does it lose its edge? Something to ponder the next time you're scrolling through your camera roll trying to hold on to yesterday?
Thanks for the deep dive.